Kyler points to our top 10 ERP ranking, which again, you can scan with the QR code top left side of your screen if you want to view our top 10 list and comment on it. But Kyler's comment here is Epicor is new on our top ERP systems of 2024 and in the top 5. Why the rise of this system in the last year? And what are your thoughts on Epicor, first of all? Do you think it belongs in the top 5? And we all have individual opinions, right, that may or may not align with the top 10 list exactly as how we put it out. But, we've got differing opinions, which is what makes it interesting. And you end up with sort of an average that gets you to the top 10 list, but we each have individually differing opinions. So what are your thoughts on Epicor? Does it belong in the top 5?
Yeah, and I'm pulling up the list itself so I can refer to it more directly also as we're talking here. But I would say, yes, it does belong in the top 5. I've seen Epicor do some great things, and in the areas where they have struggled in the past, they've actually fixed those things and taken that quite seriously. So one of the challenges that I had in the past, for example, was the conversation between you buy Epicor Kinetic and then you go through an implementation where you say, well, that screen's going to have to be in Classic. What did you just say to me? Because am I using 2 ERPs right now or something? And that's a challenge. That was really hard to really walk the clients through and say, look, this is coming, especially when we talk about if it's on the roadmap, it doesn't exist yet. But they've plugged most, if not all, of those holes now, and they've become a more comprehensive single interface. I think that by itself is something that not a lot of providers are able to accomplish on the whole. And then I think that they are also in the way that they're growing their footprint in ERP as it pertains to pulling in more of those edge systems in the environment and making them integrated with the Kinetic platform. As definitely belongs in the top 5. There are others in the top 5 that I may argue against, but I think Epicor does belong in there.
Yeah. I think Epicor too, one thing, if you look beyond the products that Epicor provides, I think one thing that they have going for them is just internally organizationally at Epicor, and also within their ecosystem, how they're handling both of those dimensions of ERP vendor evaluation. So when I talk about internal organization, they have a really strong leadership team. They've pulled a lot of players from the industry that have worked at other big vendors. They're now all at Epicor. So I feel like they've gotten a bit of talent at the top that they didn't have before. And they have some stability as a company. They've gone through a lot of transitions and PE handoffs and things like that, just buying and selling the company. It just sort of got gutted over time. And I think the company suffered as a result. And then also the ecosystem, they were at odds with a lot of their VARs for a long time. And they didn't really have a good VAR implementation partner sort of network. And I think they're working really hard on building that back out again, which I think both those things work, are intangibles that are worth noting when you consider what ERP vendor you want to work with.
Yep. I think it's also worth always, when you mention Epicor, you can't get away from mentioning Infor. I'd say that if you're going to talk about Oracle versus SAP, the next step down, kind of like the before the main event, is always Infor versus Epicor. I think that's really the quintessential matchup, and Epicor matches up with them quite well. I'd say that when we go through the process of evaluating them head to head, they both compete quite strongly against each other, and Infor's move towards a more appropriate branding of the cloud suite with them, M3 on the cloud suite, Sightline on the cloud suite, LN on the cloud suite, as opposed to trying to call some of it cloud suite, some of it not, has really been something that they benefited from, and Koch Industries is really their acquisition of M4 has really stabilized as well, and we're seeing that come together too. So I think those two are neck and neck on the whole. And really a good thing to watch as we really start to see the 2024 come together, is what happens for both of those.